Guys, the previous parts are in the description and the pinned comment. Don't forget to leave a like, so I know you're enjoying the work. The protagonist asks if the Thunder Roar Knights are really powerful. The leader calls him an arrogant brat and tells his brothers to take them down. The warriors start shooting their arrows. Shu activates his shield and comments that this move is repetitive, asking if he can't change his patterns. Lin uses his ability and makes the arrows fly back to the enemy. Some of them are hit. One archer asks who's causing trouble there, and his partner also asks how they dare attack members of the Thunder Roar Knights team. They say they can't let them escape and must finish them off. The bald guy says there are a lot of them. The protagonist replies it's fine, they're all paper tigers. Ma says, as long as they don't hide and attack from afar, Shu tells them to strike. They use their skills, causing a huge explosion and sending the warriors flying. A spear approaches. The bald guy pushes his partner to protect her and gets hit directly. Ling calls out to him. Lin says someone is ambushing them. Tansen lies injured on the ground and Ma asks who it is and tells him to get out of there. Tansen quickly drinks a healing potion and then someone approaches. A voice asks if this person is the Grand Elder of the Purple Lightning Sect and if he's the 8th Order expert. The protagonist repeats 8th Order expert. The Grand Elder of the Purple Lightning Sect says he finally found him, the boy with lightning and fire attributes who eliminated his master of the Purple Lightning Sect and many disciples. The warriors look shocked and ask if these people really eliminated the Purple Lightning Sect's master. They didn't expect him to be that strong. They wonder if they should attack and what he's waiting for. Lightning emits around the weapon. The Grand Elder of the sect says they're all going to hell. He attacks and uses his skill, Twin Marks. Shu moves quickly. Smoke dissipates and the Grand Elder chases after him. Lin looks back and thinks he's really fast. The Grand Elder attacks several times. The protagonist, exhausted, says that even together, they're no match for him, and it's better to retreat, leave the Thunder Valley. Hunters stand in front of them, asking if he thinks he can run, saying it won't be that easy. Since he eliminated their leaders, they'll tear him to pieces. The hunters say not to let them escape and to avenge the System Master. The Grand Elder says to eliminate them. Ruo asks what to do and if they're surrounded. Shu replies that they might retreat from the outskirts and then run toward the depths of Thunder Valley. Shui asks if they're really going to run into the depths, into that cave again. Lin says no, to lead them toward the space rift. He swings his sword, releasing smoke, and tells them to quickly move into the depths of Thunder Valley. Ruo says he's going. The protagonist agrees and says the more dangerous the place, the safer it is. They'll surely seek ruthless revenge, and he'll lead them to that dangerous place with invisible monsters. The Grand Elder of the sect asks if this bunch of fools is running toward the depths of Thunder Valley and says this time he won't escape, even with wings, and tells them to pursue. The hunters agree and chase after them. The bald guy looks back and says too many people are chasing them. Ma questions if it's necessary for an 8th Order to deal with 6th Order people like them. Shu says he wants to use the invisible monsters near the spatial rift to take down the others and they'll find another way to deal with the 8th Order Elder. Ma says those invisible monsters are just as dangerous for themselves. Lin says to trust him, he can handle it. In the area of the space rift, several warriors lie on the ground, eliminated. The protagonist asks if this is all the work of the invisible monsters. Ruo says it looks like there are several of them. Shu stares ahead and comes across a 6th Order alien creature, Invisible Mantis. Characteristic, hides its body, appears instantly when attacking. Extremely sharp forelimbs. The system shows various alien creatures nearby. Lin thinks he loves this cursed system to the end. Ma asks if they really have to run into that forest. The hunters approach, saying he's there, and to eliminate them, not letting anyone escape. The protagonist says this is the only path and they must follow his steps exactly with no mistakes. 3 o'clock direction, jump 3 steps. 12 o'clock, jump 2 steps. 9 o'clock, duck and move forward. 5 o'clock, jump and split up. Ruo says it's strange and asks why they weren't attacked, and if those invisible monsters have been split. Shu replies no, the invisible monsters are right beside them. It seems that if they keep a certain distance, the creatures won't attack actively, and he warns them to be careful. At 12 o'clock, lower your waist and slide on your knees. The warriors notice other hunters lying dead on the ground and say this place is a bit scary, asking if they should keep chasing and if so many people really lost their lives here. The Grand Elder calls them a bunch of cowards and asks if they didn't notice these people are skilled, ordering them to continue the pursuit. The warriors get annoyed and wonder why he doesn't go himself. As they enter the forest, they're attacked and shout that it's an ambush. Several creatures close in to strike. They call for help and activate their shields to block the monsters, but the creatures move swiftly and slice the shields in half. The Grand Elder looks surprised and asks what that is. The warriors say it can really cut through a sphere easily and that it's terrifying. The Grand Elder faces the monsters, uses his ability to attack, and asks if it's a mantis, saying an invisible mantis must be an alien creature that escaped the space rift, and questions why they aren't being attacked. He notices their strange movements and wonders if they're deliberately avoiding the invisible mantises, accusing them of using a trick and telling them to stay there as he attacks. The protagonist looks back and says, "It's bad," telling them to dodge. A massive impact occurs. The Grand Elder strikes and tells him to go to hell. Shu dodges and jumps up a tree. The Grand Elder says he's trying to run. Lin makes a kicking motion and says, "This one's mine." The Grand Elder doesn't understand and wonders what the boy is kicking until he sees a mantis in front of him and starts screaming desperately. He slashes the creature in half and calls him a brat. The protagonist smirks and kicks more creatures in his direction. The Grand Elder calls him a despicable brat and says that no matter how many invisible mantises are thrown at him, they can't do anything to him. Xia replies that maybe they can't harm him, but what about the others? The Grand Elder looks confused, turns to the side, and sees the warriors being attacked. He calls them bastards and tells them to get out of there immediately and leave the forest. The warriors start running, saying he told them to escape quickly and be careful. The Grand Elder calls him a little beast and asks if he lured them there on purpose. Lin responds that this is the grave he carefully chose for him, and thinks the invisible mantises are nearly all cleared, so now they can go all out. The protagonist activates his ability, Heaven Covering Formation. The bald guy gets excited, saying that sensation of sudden power is back. Ma says it feels great. The Grand Elder asks how this is possible and says this is a domain. Xu calls out to his allies and tells them to attack. Ling and Tansen charge in, along with Ruo and Ma. The Grand Elder asks if even with the domain's buff, what can a bunch of 6th and 7th order piranhas do to him, and declares they'll all die here. He attacks, causing massive impacts. Lin looks to his partner Bao and says, "Let's go together." The protagonist activates his ability, releasing a powerful aura around his body, and Ma activates his Blood Fury skill. Ruo and the ball guys strike the enemy. The Grand Elder wonders if these two actually know martial skills that increase strength instantly. He looks to the side and is startled to see Shu approaching with immense power alongside Ma, leaving him no escape. The Grand Elder calls him a brat and says not to get cocky. The attacks continue. Lin is thrown back but catches himself with his spear and charges in again at full power. The Grand Elder watches in fear as he approaches. The protagonist pierces his spear through the enemy, and the system notifies that an 8th Order martial artist has been successfully eliminated, awarding 8,500,000 experience points. Xu stares and thinks it's actually 8.5 billion experience points. It's a shame the previous 8th Orders were tricked and eliminated with Luo, wasting a huge amount of XP. Ma asks if they really defeated an 8th Order and says this is their most incredible achievement. Ruo says it seems the other martial artists have fled. Lin says those cowards were too scared, not worth fearing. The previous invisible mantis parts can shatter spheres. They'll definitely sell for a lot. With so many corpses to loot, they've hit the jackpot. Bao says now they're rich. Ling says all the fighting and danger was worth it and asks what their next move is. The protagonist replies that without a specific plan, they'll return to the academy. The Thunder Roar Knights at the entrance won't stop them again. Those guys who bully the weak and fear the strong surely won't. A few days later, Xu says he's back. His pets run toward him excitedly. Lin asks if they missed him and says that in less than a month, they've grown again, wondering how many alien crystals they ate. Luo is inside the house, waiting. The protagonist says she returned to Sky City and won't be able to see Mom for now. Zhang and his team say he finally returned. They were really worried. The protagonist asks what's wrong. Zhang says that next week is the World Martial Arts Competition. They're worried that he and his sister Luo won't make it back in time. Liang agrees and says that while he's not strong, the leader he and Luo are different. Not only can he participate, but he'll definitely get good results. Then Zhang asks where his sister is. Lin replies that she had some family matters to handle, so she went back to Sky City. Zhang asks if he's going to participate in the World Martial Arts Competition. Xu says of course he is, but before that he plans to enter the trial tower for training. He's always heard that the tower is very mysterious. They say that if you reach the top floor, there's a mysterious reward. Liang says he heard that too. Apparently, since the founding of the Sacred Kingdom Academy, only 9 people have reached the top of the tower. The redhead agrees and says those 9 are now 9th Order martial artists or even higher. Zhang says the trial tower is more dangerous than the arena tower. There's a real chance of death when training in it. Even if someone is killed inside the tower, the academy won't intervene. The protagonist says that fortune favors the bold. As a martial artist, if he wants to grow stronger, he must disregard life and death. At the Sacred Kingdom Academy's forge, the clerk asks what weapon he wants to forge. Lin shows his spear and says he'd like to forge it. Surprised, the clerk asks if it's a dark edge. Xu asks if he knows the dark edge. The clerk says who doesn't know the dark series in their line of work, and that he never thought he'd have the honor of seeing a weapon from the dark edge series in his life. However, this shadowblade spear was already forged with immense power. Whoever made it had excellent skills. There's no stronger material here to continue forging it. The protagonist thinks of Luo. He shows his bag and says it's okay because he has these materials. The clerk asks if they're from former invisible mantises and if he's with those second-year students who exterminated the alien creature nest. Lin thinks he didn't expect those guys to be faster than him and asks if the materials can be fused into the Dark Edge spear. The clerk agrees and says the forging fee is 100,000 points, but he can pay a 50% deposit and pick it up tomorrow at noon. At the Judgment Tower of the Sacred Kingdom Academy, the staff says there's no record of judgment in their system and asks if it's his first time in the Judgment Tower, as he can get a free trial card. Future entries require purchasing with points, but there's a chance to win some inside the tower. Xiu looks at the screen in front of him and says, "This is," until someone shows up and mentions a red name appearing, meaning that Bastard lost his life in the Judgment Tower. He asks if he's a freshman, says he's a senior, and advises him not to enter the test tower. His life is more important, and he offers his test card, saying it's not too late to come back in a few years. The protagonist says no way, and if he wants the test card, he can pay 100,000 points and buy it from him. The senior asks if he takes him for an idiot and says a test card only costs 50,000 points in the Academy store, and he'll give it whether he wants it or not. Lin asks if he wants to fight, then go ahead, but not to blame him for not warning. No one has ever snatched anything from his hands and survived. The senior asks if he's ever seen someone so arrogant, until someone approaches, telling them to stop. It's a woman. She asks if he's bullying newcomers again and says they're a bunch of guys who bully the weak and fear the strong, and not to bother with them. She introduces herself as Ku Tingting. She's a third year and knows Ruo Shui. She asks if he's also there to challenge the test tower. Xiu replies that he doesn't have a weapon right now, he's just there to check things out. The senior asks if he's just a coward. Who is he trying to act tough for? Ku replies that whether he's a coward or not, he'll find out soon enough. She warns not to provoke him, as he's not someone to mess with. Later, an armored enemy approaches with a sword to attack. The protagonist notices and defeats it with just one strike, and the system notifies that he eliminated a fourth-order robot and gained experience points. Lin gets excited and asks if defeating monsters there really grants experience points. Xiu continues defeating the robots, and notifications keep popping up about earned experience. The protagonist says that although they're only fourth order, this is just the first floor. He wonders what level the monsters on the 100th floor will be. Academy forums say clearing tower floors doesn't drop items, but this is different. He can farm experience repeatedly from the first floor every time. The test tower was built using alien space technology. Each floor is like a separate space, and slain creatures will automatically resurrect. The person who built this tower is seriously badass. Lin enters a portal and finds himself in a desert. The sand starts to move and a giant monster appears. Xiu screams in fear and realizes it's a doom worm.